I think it's 4 months. Hey, BK. Oh, I didn't see Kelly. Somebody from the marketing department.
Hey, Jeff. Check that one's ID too. If Audie called, said that he's not going to make it, he's trying to get somebody in his place, but chances are not going to show up, so you need to handle his section.
Okay.
And you know enough about what he said last time. You ain't got to talk near as much as he did about all their stuff, which, you know, what the sheriff does on the beach in relation to vendors and stuff. And
About
as
the
much as
same
you
thing
want.
for about the last 4 years, so it's.
Right, yeah. Right. I'm gonna handle Kelly's, so I'll go ahead and introduce the new people, everybody in the room. And I'll handle Kelly's stuff if she doesn't show up.
I don't
And
see.
it's-
Man,
Matt.
Matt, neither one of them.
Okay, if he doesn't show up, then you handle his too? Okay.
Never mind.
Matt Allen as well?
Somebody was in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Brian, just flying out from New York this morning, so I don't know when that is. Thank you.
What's up, Matt? Ready? Stacy? Ready? All righty. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Kellenberger. I'm the Director of Beach Operations. Appreciate your time this morning. Your attendance at the 2017 preseason beach vendor meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to talk about the upcoming season, any new rules and regulations that may be in play, introduce key members of different agencies that are working on the beach that you'll be interacting with, and then after our short presentations, discussion, or talks, we'll have time for discussion if you got any questions, comments, or anything like that. Before we get started, I'd appreciate if you'd silence any cell phones or tablets or computers. And if you have to take a phone call or conversate with your neighbor next to you, if you can go outside so as not to disrupt the room. During the discussion portion, there may be some difference of opinion on any particular matter, so I'd appreciate it if you would respect all opinions and keep any comments, negative comments to a minimum or none at all. Before we get started, I'd also like to introduce some of these key members. Like I say, my name is Brian Kellenberger. I'm Director of Beach Operations. Under my department is Beach Maintenance and Beach Code Enforcement. Jeff McVeigh is our Beach Code Enforcement Manager. Joshua Irvin is our Beach Maintenance Manager. In the room, we have some of our Beach Code Enforcement officers. New to us is Danny Garner and Cliff Hollington. Two of our newest members are Eric Bosco and Adam Ziegler, and then we have two more people coming on in the next week or so, and then we'll also have two more after that. So we'll have a total of 10 code enforcement officers on the beach, as well as our Jeff as code enforcement manager. John Callens is our beach ambassador. That's our friendly side of code enforcement, so to speak. He also has 4 new team members coming on here in the next month. So you'll see a lot of us on the beach, helping to make the beach, the harmony that we'd like to see out there. Also with us is Chief Rick Talbert with South Walton Fire District, David Vaughn, the life safety manager in charge of lifeguards, Jessica Highnote, who is the permitting clerk for the South Walton Fire District. Normally we have Sheriff's Office person attendance. They called and they were wrapped up with other activities this morning, so we'll handle their section. Stacy Enfinger is our office manager, and she'll be handling some of the beach vending permit duties this year. Who have I missed? Matt McGarr with South Walton Turtle Watch. We'll be giving some information on that today. And so I think that gets all the introductions. Once again, the purpose of this meeting is to learn how we plan on administrating the beach vending on our beaches. Introduce you to the other agencies that are going to be interacting with you on the beach, and to take in any questions, comments, and have discussion about the beach vending season. So with that being said, Jeff.
Good morning to all of you all. Appreciate y'all coming out. You know that the season is fastly approaching. I know we've been fielding a lot of phone calls, a lot of questions. Maybe we can answer a lot of those this morning. Last week's meeting, just to give you an idea, attendance-wise, as far as vendors go, there were chairs down the walls and people standing in the door and that kind of stuff. So just this room twice again probably. So there's getting to be a crowd of us on the beach. So we appreciate y'all coming out and hearing what's going on. As far as the ordinance goes, there's no official change to the ordinance from last year. So if you operated last year with us, then the ordinance is still the same. There's nothing's changed that would be any of concern to you at this moment. However, know that the revisions are bouncing around in the commission chambers, so keep up with that. One way to do that is by being on our email list. Stacy sends out blast emails anytime something changes or may change with the beach vending. So as you signed in, when you put your email address down, that gets you on that list. Make sure before you leave, if you want to know what's going on, if you want the information, if you want to be part of that connectivity, make sure that your information that you put on the list is legible. That seems to be the biggest problem we have, is we can't read your email address. So if we can't read the email address, then Stacy can't send you information. So help us out with that. If you want to make sure you get all the information, make sure before you leave, just check that your email address and phone numbers is legible. So beach vending permits, the process has changed. So in a nutshell, the change is it doesn't happen here at planning, it happens at beach operations. The applications are the same, everything's that you had to submit last year, you have to submit this year. The only thing that's changed on the application is the title at the top of it where it says South Walton Beach Operations instead of the planning department. So Stacy's the keeper of those for the time being. We're in the process of adding permit clerks to handle special events and permits all together. It'll be handled at beach operations, which is on 83 or Blue Mountain Road, south of 98 there, about the 900 block, so 9/10 of a mile south of 98. Phone number's on the permit, so if you choose to take one with you, there's some here. You can contact us at the office. We can get them to you via email. So if you'll submit those according to the checklist is there. Make sure everything's there. That's the hold up. A lot of times is we get to the reviewing process and all the information's not there. So the checklist is provided to you for that purpose. Make sure that everything is asked for in the checklist is in the application, and that speeds it up pretty substantially. There'll be 3 of us reviewing permits, so regardless of whether you turn them in Monday morning or Friday afternoon or whatever, we're trying to get those turned around as quickly and accurately as we can. So help us to help you. Make sure it's all there. Make sure it's all correct. Bring it to the right place, beach operations, and then we'll get it turned around for you there within a couple of days. Allowable beach access to vehicles. Here's the big change for the delivery guys. Grayton Beach is not a drive-on beach for beach vendors. The ordinance says you have to be have to have a site-specific permit greater than 1,000 feet and use a lightweight UTV. So if you've got a site-specific permit that's greater than 1,000 feet and you permit a lightweight UTV on your vending permit, then you can drive on the beach that period in the morning and the period in the afternoon for delivery, set up and tear down. Okay, that's a site-specific vendor. So if you're delivering to Grayton, if you're planning on doing business there, plan on handling your equipment. So the ordinance doesn't allow to it. The recreational drive on the beach permit is for that purpose. It's not for a commercial use. The charter boat captains have a specific permit for chartering that's separate than a recreational permit. So we've received guidance from legal that that's not an application for the recreational permit. So if you got a recreational permit, you can't use your recreational permit to deliver beach chairs. If you have a lightweight UTV and 1,000 foot of beach, then you can drive on the beach for the purpose of delivering. So just understand up front that that's how it is going forward based on our directions. So driving on the beach at Grayton is for recreational use only. Okay, so that's really the only change to the way we're going to do business as far as the vendors go. So if we find stuff on the beach, the guys are going to give you a call, give you the opportunity one time, but not 7 or 8 times. What we realized is that we had some vendors with way more opportunities they should have. So we're going to change that a little bit on our end, and we're going to issue paperwork on every contact. That helps us to capture that contact better, and that way we can better document what we've done and what interaction we've had with each vendor. So, driving at Grayton's gone, storage at the toe of the dunes. If you store equipment at the toe of the dunes and you are a site-specific vendor, we encourage you to have a box. The permit, it allows you to have a box. So if you use a box, it keeps people from what we refer to as sniping your chairs. Because when you store a stack at the toe of the dune and at 2 o'clock in the morning we find them down the beach somewhere set up, then we assume, because we don't have another option, that you left them out. When the reality is that people are taking your chairs off your stack and setting them up after you tear them down in the afternoon. So we encourage you to use a box. It allows you to secure your equipment. It keeps people from fooling with it after you guys leave. And it helps both of us. It keeps you out of a citation. It keeps us from having to chase down where chairs come from. Delivery vendors. If you're a delivery vendor, you're allowed to store chairs at the toe of the dune so long as the chairs are rented the following day. Okay, so if you rent them tomorrow, you can leave them stored neatly stacked at the toe of the dunes today. The problem we're running into more consistently on that is we find a stack of chairs that's stored at the toe of the dunes, that's 8 or 10 chairs in a stack, that meets the guidelines of the 4x4x8. However, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's still 2 or 3 of them in a stack and 6 or 8 of them set up. So if you're storing them at the toe of the dune, they have to be rented the following day, not might be rented or somebody may call after a while. So help us out on that. We'll do that. We'll do the best we can to keep a watch on it. And when we start seeing it, then we'll start letting you know about it. Vendor zones and bonfires. If you're a bonfire vendor, do bonfires. Miss Jessica handles that wonderfully, your permitting process. The problem we have is you're still a vendor and you're still vending on the public access locations. They explain this to you when you get your permit, but if you're a vendor and you're vending on a public access, you have to vend in the public or in the vendor zone. So if the vendor zone's 30 feet, you got 30 feet. If it's 50 feet, that's what you got. But you are still a vendor, even though you're doing a bonfire at night, so you still have to be in the vendor zone, okay? That makes sense. I know a couple of bonfire guys in here that's been good to do that, so we want to make sure that everybody else is doing it as well. Parking lots, cooking in the parking lots seems to be a growing trend. It's not allowable. You can't cook in the parking lots. The ordinance prohibits that. The beach activities ordinance does not address that. However, it's developed in the land development code otherwise. So help us out with that as well. Those of you that's doing bonfires and want to do food and setting up cookers in parking lots and setting up cookers on boardwalks, and that's not allowed by the land development code. So help us out with that as well. The complaint forms are going to be on the website. So if you have a complaint about another vendor or another public or another whoever, if you want to complain about an ordinance on the beach, go to the TDC's website. That should be live most any day. We're hoping that's more sooner than later. You can go click on the complaint form. It pops up. You fill it out. It's got some required fields in it that you'll have to fill out before it lets you submit it. When you get it completed and submit, it submits that file to about 11 email addresses at some point in time. Initially it goes to an administrative position, it goes to my email, and then it'll make it to whoever's on duty. So that's the fastest way to accurately get a complaint to us on the ordinance. So the problem we're running into is I get a text message or I get a phone call, somebody leaves me a voicemail, and I'm not here. So then it's 4 or 5 hours before I get it, and then it's 2 or 3 hours before whoever comes on duty next gets out there. So if you'll email it go through the website, fill out the complaint form, send it to us. It helps us to track those complaints and make sure we get it to somebody a little bit faster than it would if you just text it to somebody who may be off or may have worked last night and they're still not up this morning. So
Jeff, that complaint won't be live February 1st.
February 1st. So February 1st, the complaint form. In the folder that you've got, the access locations that shows the vendor zones, Campbell Street access is in the air. We're going to do some research on that. Yes, I apologize for not doing that between last meeting and this meeting, but that's the only potential change is the Campbell Street access. Again, if your email address is legible any changes that happens to those vendor zones, Stacy sends it to you so you get it. So if you want to keep up with that stuff, make sure we can read your email. I'm going to climb over to the Grayton State Park section. I don't see Matt here as well. They asked to be a part of the meetings this year. They were here last week. The problems that seem to be occurring on the state park with the vendors are vendors that are setting up sets on the state park, and they're leaving. They set them up in the morning at Turtle Watch text time, and they come back and get them at dark. So the state park's wish is, their direction to us has been that when a person comes to the beach and they want to rent a chair, deliver the chair to them when they go to the beach. When they leave, pick the chair up off the beach. Don't set up a line of chairs on the state park and just leave chairs indefinitely throughout the day. So set it up in the morning when they get there. When they leave, take it off the beach. They've also had some issues with stuff being left stored at the toe of the dunes on the state parks. They do not allow you to store on the state park overnight. So anything, even though the ordinance allows you to store delivery chairs at the toe of the dune overnight, the state park's rule is that you can't leave it on the state park. So if you're renting chairs on the state park daily, when the person leaves, your chairs have to leave as well, so you can't leave them there. I'm going to give you the state park's phone number in case you have some questions about that, since Matt's not here. If you're doing business on the state park, if you're interested in maybe doing business on the state park, they're even talking about a possible fee for the state parks. But that's a conversation you need to have with Matt Allen, and Matt Allen's phone number is 267-8300, 267-8300. So he's the park manager for Grayton State Park and Deer Lake State Park. Topsail State Park does not fall under Matt's purview. However, we've not had any complaints or vendor usage really on Topsail. So if you choose to go to Topsail, that number won't be any good for you. You'll need to go through the Topsail gate on that end to deal with those guys. So see, Captain Rouse' crew hadn't made it yet. So briefly, the sheriff's office is usually pretty good to say, thank y'all, they appreciate it, they want you to help them. They encourage you to observe. If you see a crime occur, just take some mental notes when the deputies get there. Make contact with the deputy, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, you're a beach vendor, and they'll take third-party information from a beach vendor over because you're a neutral party. So they want you to contact the deputies when they arrive and let them know what's going on, what you saw. They also encourage you to know the deputies. You introduce yourself to the deputies that's working the beach as they're coming and going. Have a conversation with them. That way, that increases that camaraderie, if you will. It also increases their willingness to listen to you when you file a complaint with them or you provide information to them on something that you observe. One thing that they always ask is don't call the deputies direct. If you see something happening, they don't want you to call the deputy because, again, the deputy may be off. He may be at home in the bed. He may not be working that particular zone today. He may be on a call. So then that delays the information to an available unit. So if you need to call the sheriff's office, they encourage you to call dispatch. If it's a non-emergency issue, it's a non-emergency number. The phone number is 892-8111, 8111. Obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911. So they are always good to appreciate the fact that they have good working relationships with most of the vendors, and they want to keep that. And they were sent their apologies for not being able to get down this morning. So I think that's what I had there, Brian. You got Kelly right?
No, great. You include that under your section, just the flags.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is David Vaughn. I'm with the South Walton Fire District. I'm the Beach Safety Director. I see a lot of familiar faces, and I see some new ones. I look forward to working with each and every one of you again. I'll echo what Captain Ryle said last time, is we have a partnership. We've enjoyed a great working relationship with almost all of you, and we really look forward to continuing that. I'd like to give you my number right off the bat, that if you have any concerns, questions, or anything that you need to get through me, please dial me at area code 850-803-2601. That's my cell. I'd also like to introduce Colin Perlacki. He's one of my lifeguard supervisors. He's going to be a familiar face out there. We also have Luke Turner. So they're going to be working a lot of days overlapping, but they're going to be some of your go-to guys as well. Quickly, most of you are familiar with our mission, which is to respond to emergency medical calls and water rescues. However, our primary objective out there is to educate everybody about beach safety and to keep people from getting in trouble in the first place. You guys are oftentimes the first line of defense because you're in areas where we may not be. We'd like to be as close by as we can, and we are growing the program. Right now we have 11 TDC-sponsored stations. We have 2 at Sandestin, and hopefully we'll be expanding to Rosemary Beach, and we are hoping to add a tower at Grayton Beach as well. We have 11 roving ATV units and 3 light-duty trucks, and of course, South Walton Fire District's fantastic ambulance and fire rescue units always respond. On that, I'd also like to echo what was said about the Sheriff's Department. If you guys see something, when in doubt, call it out. Don't call me direct for a water rescue. Call 911, and we'd rather you, if you have to wonder about it, just dial it, call it, give them your location as best you can, give them the landmarks. When our units arrive, whether it's my lifeguards or the firefighter, paramedics, whoever's first on scene, wave us down, let us know what's going on. We appreciate, I remember when I did beach service, I did a lot of water rescues as beach service, and I know that happens, and we really appreciate it, but we'd like to keep you guys out of the water as much as possible. So we can't be everywhere all the time. We know you guys are out there and you're on the scene, and I want to reiterate that we really do appreciate your help. They just changed the flag text number, so you can go to swfd.org to check the flag conditions. You can also text 31279 is the updated number for the texting for the flags. And let's see, if you have any questions or concerns with the flag calls that we make, call me. Don't call TDC. Please don't call the administrative office. You can call me direct. We make our flag call conditions based on observations between myself, my 2 supervisors, the lifeguards that we have on scene. We base it off of weather forecasting. We use a slew of variables. It's science. But if you feel strongly about it, go ahead and give me a call and we'll discuss it. But we make the call between 7 and 9 every morning, and then we make another flag call between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. We also do make flag calls as conditions change. We realize, like you guys do, things pop up quick, conditions change quickly. Keep in mind, once we make a flag call and we post that to the website or to any of the various social media, we use Twitter, Facebook. We're now using Instagram and the traditional website in addition to the text system. It takes us about, sometimes as quickly as an hour, sometimes up to 2 hours, just depending on what's going on. So keep that in mind. Any outstanding issues that we have with the vendors, they're minor, which is really great. We are putting new towers on the beach, and they have a higher profile. They're almost 2 feet higher, so that we can see over the tents. What has been a problem is, you guys know it, it's the race to the front at the water's edge. We do need we need that 10-foot corridor that's there by the ordinance. We've had a problem at a few locations with vendors coming in and setting up chairs and umbrellas directly in front of the tower. Please don't do it. A good way to do it is set up and pop your umbrella right at the edge of one of our towers, set up the rest of your line, and then drop that first one. And then walk away. Let my guys deal with anyone who tries to poach in on that. But we need that 10-foot corridor. We also know that the 15 to 25-foot corridor along the back of the dune for emergency vehicles, that may be coming into play. Everyone's been really good about it, but we do need your help with that because minutes and seconds count back there or out there when we're having emergency situations. If you would just encourage, we know you guys don't set up back there, but when other patrons come out there, if you just remind people that there's got to be a way for us to get through. And we understand, especially on the east side, where it's 8 up, sometimes you guys only got 15 feet of beach total. We understand that, and that's situation dependent, and that comes and goes. We just do need your help and cooperation. So we're on your side as well. You guys have been really supportive of us, and I think that's about all I got. Anyone got any questions for me? All right, let's have a great season.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Talbert. I'm the fire chief for South Walton Fire District, and I'm proud to have our team members here, and I appreciate David's words and Colin and what they do out there each and every day. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to you as well. We've heard that. That's the common thread here this morning. You guys truly are partners. You guys help us in a vast amount of ways out there, and we enjoy that relationship, and we want to cultivate that relationship and make sure it's intact. So us working together is vitally important. You know, I don't mind saying that probably, you know, I really do, for one, as a resident here, but also as your fire chief, I appreciate what you do. What you're doing out there, besides some of us with our regulatory requirements for us to be paramedics, emergency medical technicians, firefighters, law enforcement officials, code enforcement, you're probably the most regulated entity in this county. And I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of work. I know it takes a lot of patience, but we appreciate what you're doing. And with that, I'll just cover a couple things. I'm here, ironically enough, I'm covering for one of our other folks, our Fire Marshal, Sammy Sanchez. He's off on another engagement this morning, so he asked me if I'd share a few things with you. And a couple things, I'll try to be brief. First and foremost is fireworks. Most of us know fireworks are illegal in Florida. Then the next question is, well, how do people shoot fireworks off? Well, anything that's a sparkler or, you know, emits color, that type of thing, not to get overly technical, that you can say buy in Publix or the dollar store, especially around the holidays, those are legal. The ones that shoot in the air, explode, the things that you have to go to Alabama to buy, to bring here, are illegal. Now, I know that you're confronted with that sometimes, and we just ask you, if you see something doesn't look right, say something, because once that's done and the debris is left, generally what happens is the finger pointing begins, and you know where the fingers go first, right? Most of y'all know that. So we'd ask you that if you see that, just contact the law enforcement official that's out there, and they can help us with that, because that is state statute, and we do our very best. It is rather overwhelming, as you know, around 4th of July especially. New Year's, it seems like we always get a little rain, and we'll just tell you that we kind of rejoice about that when it's wet and rainy and cold, that less banging, less fireworks. And in South Walton here, we've had some pretty significant fires as a result of fireworks. We've had some property loss, not just woods. We've lost a dune walkover in Inlet Beach. We've had a couple, 3 houses damaged as a result of fireworks. So I'm just asking you guys as partners, if you have clients, anybody that, hey, this is something that we think is a rite of passage, help them rethink that, please. Help educate them. And if you have difficulty with that, put them in touch with us, and we'll try to help them too. Next one is Chinese lanterns. Not quite as popular as it once was, but we know, do we have wedding vendors in the room? Specific just to weddings? They're illegal. You have to ask yourself this: when you light that and you emit it and it goes in the air, can you guarantee where it's going to land? Can you guarantee when it lands it's going to be out? Because we've had fires in South Walton as a result of Chinese lanterns. Generally what happens with them, they'll float out over the Gulf, and it's a beautiful sight. That's where they land, in the Gulf. Our friends from Turtle Watch will tell you what the hazards with that will be. And generally, they don't come back to where you were. They'll come back on somebody else's property or somebody else's resort, and it's a problem. So we just ask you, Chinese lanterns are out. I apologize in advance. Our wedding vendor, I think there's only one in the room, but they are notorious. We usually know when it's going to happen, so we alert law enforcement, because the next thing we'll hear is, they're illegal? Well, how much is the fine? You know what that means. They're going to do it. And we'll do our best to try to keep it from happening again. So we just appreciate your help with that. In permitted fireworks displays, we have many of them in South Walton, Baytown, other places, the Hilton, Seaside, usually during the holidays. These are professional fireworks shooters. Sounds like an awesome title and job, but they're professional fireworks and shooters. They also are regulated and certified in what they do, and that plan is reviewed by our Life Safety Division, and they're issued a permit to do so. Next thing is, if you have any questions on fireworks, I'll answer them for you after we're done here. So if you have any questions or need some clarification. The next item is bonfires. Jessica, please stand. I want to introduce everybody again. Jessica Highnote. Many of you have probably had contact with Jessica. Jessica is your point of contact there at the South Walton Fire District. Sammy Sanchez is the program chair. That is your contact with regard to bonfires. And under his charge, Jessica, and we are soon to hire a customer service representative that will also meet your customer needs with regard to bonfires and events. So we will have more than one person now in our office to help facilitate you in the most effective way possible. We made that organizational change to make it better for everybody that's a consumer of bonfires, which I don't know if you know. Does anybody know how many bonfires we had last year? A little over 3,000. It's pretty popular. means there's it's pretty popular. And as you know, as in the vending industry, that the private versus a commercial bonfire, I'll call it, versus average citizen. Hey, we'd like to go down and get a pan and do a bonfire. We have statistics on that too, but it is quite popular. So we want to make sure, and as we tell everybody, it's a privilege to be able to do it on our beaches. It's really kind of one of a kind. I don't know of any place else in Florida you can do that. So it is a privilege, and we try to treat it with the utmost respect. So the process and what's worked so far with us going through, Jessica and our staff went through and identified how many we should probably have at these beach accesses, has worked out pretty good. I mean, it's a moving target sometimes. We go back and reevaluate after we've had maybe some challenges or some issues there. So we'll continue to work that and work as closely and inform you before we make any changes with that. Also in our lobby there at our headquarters on 393, we're making some changes to that lobby. When you come in and you see at what we call the bridge, Jessica's smiling face, off to the right, we're making a change to that office. There'll be a window there with that customer service representative. So if Jessica's not helping you personally, you have a place where you can go and conduct that business for bonfires or events and all that. So we're pretty excited about that. The bonfire brochure, which we have over here to my left, you're right. There's not many changes to that, but there is a new phone number. We have a phone number specifically for bonfires, and that is 850-267-1307, and that's in the brochure. It's 267-1307. A couple housekeeping items regarding bonfires. They are not permitted to be buried in the sand. That's one of the biggest issues I think we're all confronted with, and they're not to be buried in the sand. Also, they need to be completely cleaned up by 8 a.m. Completely cleaned up by 8 a.m. Do not discard the burned material or maybe still burning material in the TDC garbage bags, as you probably can deduce what happens when that's done. We have issues and it causes property damage. And also, lastly on that, and everybody, like I said, I say that generally for our vendors in the room, have done a superb job with the bonfires. You guys treat it with respect. You treat it also like we do. It is a privilege. The housekeeping issues are the biggest thing. What I'll leave you with is this, and it's used for just about anything in our country this day and age. If you see something, say something. Call us. Don't take a picture. Don't talk to me casually in a social setting a month later and tell me about a bonfire that you thought was out of compliance or out of spec. If you see something, say something. Let us know. Take a picture, give us the location, and we will address it. I've encountered some of those. I'm looking around the room. Some of you I know personally. I've met a few of you. I will let you know that some of the folks that work for you, they do a good job, but I can tell you that I've encountered some of them. And when I encounter them personally, it's usually over a couple things. One is access. When they park and it blocks an area which we can't get our lifeguards or an ambulance through. And generally, I will confront them in a friendly way and let them know, hey, this is an area that needs to be cleaned up. We've had very few issues with that, but we've had a few. And we just ask you continually. I know it's a competition out there, not only for the locations in which you're setting up your setups, but it's a competition for parking. And we know parking is a giant issue in our community right now, and it's evolving. And quite honestly, I think it's going to be improving even more as we go. And I'm excited about that. But we know it's a challenge. We know it's a challenge for you on a hot afternoon when everybody wants something right now, and they wanted it already. It's moving fast, but we can let you know minutes and seconds do count. So when we hear, I'm only going to be a few minutes, that's probably not that's not our standard. We just let you know. When you dial 911, that's not our standard. We don't tell you we'll be there in a few minutes. It's right then. And if you've seen what's happened out there before, unfortunately, with somebody that's been in trouble in the water or a medical issue, you know. Minutes and seconds count. So we ask you for your cooperation there. That's all I have. Unless you have questions for us, I'll stop there. And again, thank you for your service and what you're doing here in our community. We appreciate what you do to assist us, and we'll be available afterwards to answer any questions. So thanks.
Good morning, guys. Matt McGarrett with South Walton Turtle Watch. Basically, this past season, I was brought on to be the contact person between vendors, South Walton Turtle Watch Code, and TDC to assist with any problems, any questions, handle violations. I would like to thank all the vendors that I had to have conversations with this year, man. Thank you so much for being polite, respectful, and working with me. and rectifying situations rather quickly. Made my job a lot easier to work and be friends with you guys and take care of the situations. Right now, go ahead and just write my number down because I will be your point of contact for anything turtle related, when your beaches are cleared, anything to do with that. If you guys find a nesting sea turtle, we miss some tracks, a turtle nest after we clear the beach, call me. The number is area code 706-442-8998. So the season will start May 1 and runs through October. The beaches are walked every single day by volunteers. If we find a nest on the beach, we will mark it with flags, and the walker will continue their walk. If you see this going on, it doesn't mean you can go ahead and set up. You still have to wait for the turtle text. But what we ask you to do is leave that corridor that we mark with the flags, let your guys know not to mess with it, not to walk over the tracks. We have to measure all these tracks, measure the distance to the dunes, and then we have to take this, document it all. We move the nest to the toe of the dune to get it out of your way. So give us that time. It takes about 30 minutes. You can set up around us. Just don't set up where we mark these flags. It'd be a huge help for us. As far as the walk times in the texting program, if you're not familiar with the texting program, basically we have set up a system, an app, where the beaches can be cleared by this text. Once your guys receive the text, they can set up. If not, I think the setup time is what, 7:30? 7:30. The texts are all documented. I can guarantee you that the beaches were always cleared by 7 o'clock, and that's on days where either there was a bunch of nest or bad weather and the walk got started late. For the most part, the beaches are cleared extremely early, giving you guys plenty of time for setup. Now, the times will change throughout the season. As the sun comes up later and later, the walks will start later. One of the few instances I had with the vendors, I would get calls that, my beach is getting cleared 15 minutes later than last week. Well, that's just going to happen. Also, sometimes, depending on the walker, there may be one day I'm walking the beach, the next day it's a 65-year-old lady. She's not going to maybe walk the beach as fast as possible. We don't give them a set time. We ask the volunteers to be quick, get the beach clear, because we know you guys want to get set up. If there is ever a question about why the beach isn't being cleared, please call me. I'll figure it out. I can research. I can talk to the volunteers. As far as handling violations, I receive all violations from all walkers. So what I'd ask the vendors to do is let your guys know that if you see a volunteer walking the beach and this vendor or the volunteer stops to take a picture, don't have your guys run down and immediately get into an argument and what are you doing? Obviously, you know what they're doing. They're documented. I can promise you that none of this will go on social media. No one will put you on blast on Facebook. I will get it. I will personally call you. You can ask me any questions. I will take care of it. And then I will determine whether we can fix this or code needs to get involved, but I will handle it respectfully, and that'll be it. At the same time, I've let the volunteers know that it's not their job to attack a vendor or to discipline a vendor or to lecture a vendor, so we have no arguments. I got a few calls last year of arguments between vendors and walkers. Obviously, I'm not there. I don't know who started it. Of course, both sides are going to say the other person started it, so it would just be best just let everyone do their job. I'll handle it. The guys who I talked to know that I handle it well, and I'm super polite about it. Besides that, make sure you go over your texting program with the guys. One of the other situations we had would be maybe all the guys aren't signed up. So you have a few guys on your beach that aren't signed up for the texting program. The manager or whoever's running that beach isn't there. He's caught up somewhere else, and they set up early. It's very simple. If you can't figure it out, call me. But every one of your guys should sign up for this. It'll notify their phone, and they can immediately set up. Is there any questions about the texting program? If you signed up for it last year, you're in it. But have all your guys do it. It's right here in the book. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions? Yes? How do you get out of it? That actually I don't know. So if you want to call me, send me a text. I don't know how to get out of it. I know how to get you into it. I'm not sure how to get out of a section, and it's not going to be covered in here. So text that number I gave you, unless Steve knows. You know how to do it, Steve? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, and that's happened, man. And like I said, when that happens, they'll take a picture. I'll get the violation. I'll call you directly. That's a simple explanation. It's like, cool, let's fix it, and it's no big deal. So, anything else? I do want to say thank you, man. I appreciate all you vendors. You guys actually are a huge asset to us, man. You guys have saved sea turtles and helped us out a bunch. So I appreciate it greatly, and I hope this is another good season. So that's really it for me. Good?
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
You guys doing all right today? My name is John Callens. I am Visit South Walton's Beach Ambassador. I want to echo what everybody has said here before I got up here. It's all important information. And also emphasize that we're all in this together, and you guys do a great job in trying to help us out with our job. Beach Ambassador, the program got started in 2009. It was mandated by the commissioners. It started out with one maintenance guy doing it part-time when he wasn't doing his maintenance duties. It has evolved to this date, to this season, into a 5-staff crew. We are mainly a support entity for the Visit South Walton brand and also code enforcement, law enforcement, also South Walton Fire District. We're cheerleaders, we're promoters, we're caretakers, we're advisors. We wear all these hats and fill all these roles out on the beach, and we also fulfill that stuff for you guys as well. So if you got any questions or anything, when we're out there on the beach, hit us up. We'll be happy to try to help you out with that. We're also a mentor to some volunteer groups that are starting this year. We'll mentor them, advise them, and kind of help them out doing similar things, but not necessarily in the same manner or with the same techniques. I'm going to keep this brief. That's about all I'm going to say about it right now. You can get with me after the meeting if you got any questions about that program, any more questions or anything about that program. You can also go to the Visit South Walton webpage.com and get my number and email, and we'll try to help you out with that as well. So that's all I got, Murph. Appreciate that.
Good morning. One of the benefits of going last is everything's already been covered, so I'll keep this very brief. My name is Josh Irvin. I am the beach maintenance manager here for the Tourist Development Council. We're a crew of 24. We work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Most of you have had some interaction with at least one of our guys, so we appreciate the teamwork that you guys have with our organization. We made some changes last year with our Leave No Trace efforts. We also made some changes last year to our trash collection stations. That was actually quite a surprise for us. We had some complaints about some of the locations. We worked with some of the vendors to accommodate some of those. So, again, those are just two areas where, we really partnered with you guys to try to make things better. Last year, those guys got almost 600 tons of garbage off the beach. So think about that in terms of what they do on a daily basis. So what I ask of you as vendors is to help us with that. South Walton Fire District alluded to the importance of the bonfire remnants, not only from a safety perspective, but also for aesthetics. Those remnants end up on the beach, and they don't look well. So let's try to do the best we can to get those cleaned up, and do not under any circumstances put them in our bag holders, because the bag holders themselves are constructed of wood, and then obviously the bag itself is paper. So when you add something hot to a paper bag, we all know what happens. So let's try not to do that. Erosion is a problem, tidal erosion, especially out on the east end of the county. So think about your setups and give us plenty of access so that we can get up and down the beach and get that 600 tons of garbage off. No pickup of Leave No Trace. Again, last year, going back to that, we changed the way that the Leave No Trace collection is handled, and that is we remove those items off the beach every night. And previously to last year, we allowed people to come and get their items for a 7-day rolling period. We decided that we didn't have the logistically, we didn't have the resources to manage that. So we decided that we're going to take it all up to the county landfill, so there's no retrieval of that. So if you guys could help us communicate the importance of getting that beach-going equipment off the beach every night, that would be fantastic. We actually started printing some messaging on our bags, so I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. We're hoping that will help. That's roughly 600 different signs up and down the beach conveying the importance and the requirement to remove those items nightly. So we're hoping that will reduce the amount of items that are left on the beach overnight. Last year we got about 11,000 leave no trace items. So that's quite a few tents, chairs, umbrellas, patio furniture. I mean, you name it, we saw it out there. So just help us with that, and looking forward to a good season. And as always, you know, we're here to help. So if there's anything that we can do to make your job easier, we'll certainly do the best that we can. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, thanks for everybody's time today. Main message we want to get across is let's all have a good season and work together to make our beaches that harmonious area we want them to be for all concerned. Tomorrow is a meeting at 9 o'clock in this room that will be the continuation of the beach-related code revision recommendations. I highly encourage all vendors to be there to make themselves aware of changes that may be coming. Tomorrow's meeting, once again, is a meeting to discuss the changes, and then there will be a public hearing on February 7th, which will be the public hearing to adopt any changes that are approved by the BCC tomorrow. So that information has been published. You can find it on the county's website as far as the 9 items that are included in there, and they have some sub-items. A lot of this does affect you as a beach vendor and as a person using the beach. So, you know, come to those meetings. Come to that meeting, come to the February 7th meeting, make sure your voice is heard and your comments are made in a public format. Once again, any questions? You have all the numbers. Stacy will assemble all the numbers that weren't included in our package and make sure they are sent out as one contact information sheet for the different agencies. You should be getting that via our mass email system, so it's important to make sure that you're signed up. Permit location, we'll go to that. It has changed. Blue Mountain Beach Road, Highway 83, 924 is the address. It's our beach operations warehouse. It's on the west side of the road, halfway between 98 and 30A on Highway 83. So with that, is there any questions about any of the content we discussed today? Any questions about permitting process for vendors, where it's done or anything? Everybody's an understanding? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have them right here. They're also, are they available online yet, Stacy? Do we have these forms available online? Don't have them online, but we should have them on there by February 1st. Otherwise, you can pick some right here. You can always call Stacy. She can email them to you. And then eventually, say, by February 1st, we should have them available on our website for download. Okay. Once again, appreciate everybody's time. Make sure you signed up, and let's have a good season.